All right, let's continue on with ratios. So if you were absent today, October 1st, or on Friday, October 2nd, we learned about ratios some more. All right, so last time we were together, we talked about how a ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. And remember, a ratio can be written three ways. First, we can use that word 2 to 6. We can otherwise use a colon to write a ratio. That's also said 2 to 6. And it can be written with the division symbol or fraction bar right here, 2 to 6. So that is a review of the three ways to write a ratio. If you open your book to page 23, you'll actually see this problem. It is the first problem on the page. Okay, when you're comparing two things, you're writing a ratio. A part to part ratio compares one part to another part. So in the example that we're looking at from page 23, we're comparing flutes and drums. If we want to write the ratio for flutes to drums, flutes comes first in the statement. So we would count and write the flutes first. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 flutes. Oops, I don't know why I wrote that one there. Then we would count the drums. There are 2 drums. So that's one way you could write the ratio. You could also write it like this. You could also write it like this. While that ratio looks great, you need to simplify it to truly show your mastery of ratios. So when you simplify, you are finding a common factor, the greatest common factor preferably, that you can divide from both sides of the ratio. So the ratio is 4 to 2. I know that I can divide both of those numbers by 2. Okay, or like this. What you're doing is cutting it in half. You're dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, when you're simplifying, what you're doing is you're putting that ratio in lowest terms. When you look on this side of the ratio, you'll see 2 flutes and 1 drum. This side has 2 flutes and 1 drum. So the explanation for that is for every 2 flutes, there is 1 drum. Okay, that is the meaning of the ratio. That is what the pattern is. Every 2 flutes, there's a drum. Let's look at another example. This is the next problem in your book on page 23. If you want to try it by yourself, pause the video and see if you can do it by yourself first. We're comparing sandwiches to milk cartons. So look at that statement and think about what comes first. Sandwiches comes first. So we need to count our sandwiches. 1, 2, 3, 4 sandwiches. Then the milk cartons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 milk cartons. Okay. That would be a near mastery. I need to simplify it yet. So from both sides, I'm going to divide. The last 2 examples, we've been able to divide by 2. If they're not even numbers, you won't be able to divide by 2. You might have to see if they can divide by 3 or divide by 5. So these just happen to be 2, but it is not always 2. You need to check that both sides can be divided by that same number. So 4 divided by 2 makes 2. And 10 divided by 2 makes 5. Okay, again, if I cut my picture in half, this side has 2 sandwiches and 5 milk cartons. And this side has 2 sandwiches and 5 milk cartons. So, for every 2 sandwiches, there are 5 milk cartons. That is the explanation of the simplified ratio. So the last 2 examples we looked at were part-to-part ratios. They were comparing one part to another part. The other type of ratio is a part to whole. Part-to-whole ratios compare one part to the whole population or the whole group. This example is also on page 23 of your book. It's number 4, I believe. Yes. The table shows the number of books Salvador has read. Find the ratio of mystery books to the total. So in this example, we're not comparing the books to each other. We're not comparing mystery to science fiction or mystery to Western. We're comparing mystery to the total. So first, it talks about mystery books. I see that Salvador read 10 mystery books. So that's going to be the first part of my ratio. Then I need to find the total. 10, 17, 22. There are 24 total books. And I got that by adding them all up together. What's my next step? I need to simplify. Again, these are even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay, so using my explanation where it says explain my meaning, there's a couple options I could say. I could say for every 5 mystery books, there are 12 total. Okay, that's one way I could explain it. I could say 5 out of 12 books are mystery books. Okay, so there's a couple ways that you can make sense of the ratios. Let's look at one more example together. This example skips forward a little bit in your book. If you're following along and trying these along with me, which you should be. This one's on page 26. It says the table shows the number of each type of sports card Jacqueline has collected. We're supposed to write a ratio in simplest form that compares the number of basketball cards to the total number of cards. So I need to look at my basketball cards first. And always feel free to pause and try it on your own. I really encourage you to do that. Basketball cards is 14. I'm going to write my ratio like this time. And then I need to find the total. I'm going to stack them up, but you might have a different strategy. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 100. All right, what do I need to do next? Think about it in your head. We need to simplify. Once again, it's a divide by 2. Okay. 7/50. Okay. So the meaning, we could say for every 14 basketball cards, there are 50 total. We could say 7 out of 50 baseball cards. Oops, I shouldn't say baseball cards. Just say cards, right? Okay, so there's a couple explanations for what those ratios mean. So let's do a quick review. Remember, ratios can look different. They can use a colon. They can use words, which is using this word to. They can use a fraction bar. And they can mean different things. They can be part to part, comparing one part to another. So for example here, comparing footballs to basketballs. Or a part to the group, like footballs to total balls. For your homework, you have some IXL to work on. Okay, I just want to go over this a little bit. If you think you're understanding this, you should be going into the mastery column or the exceeding mastery column. You get to choose one topic to complete. Okay? If you're not really understanding this very well, if you think you need a little bit more basic of problems, then you're going to go over here to the way to mastery. It means way to mastery or working toward mastery. You're getting close to mastery. Okay? And if you need a little bit more direction on this, this is like the score of a 2, a 3, or a 4 on our grading scale. So I want you to choose one of these IXLs to complete. If you choose mastery, you don't need to do all 3 of those. You just need to choose one for homework. If you want some stretch problems, something that's going to stretch your brain a little bit, advance you, you're going to try the HOT problems on page 24 of your book. So if you're choosing stretch, that would be in addition to trying the exceeding mastery or the mastery. Okay, and if you do those, snap me a picture and show me how you did. All right, let me know if you have any questions.